A bill to use public education funds for private schooling is on the move on Utah's Capitol Hill.
The status quo does not fit every student.
Controversial school choice teacher salary bill headed to the Senate floor. What those for and against the bill want you to know.
A drunk man hit and killed a 13-year-old boy, ditched the bike, and then fled the scene. Tonight, hear the judge's sentence and what this man has to say to the boy's family.
Tonight, the chance for some snow in parts of Utah, what you can expect at your house.
This man, Jared Rigby, is an amazing individual.
Heber City is coming to the sheriff's defense as he tries to get a powerful state position despite complaints against him.
Your perception is wrong.
Governor Spencer Cox says social media is harming Utah's teens.
Our mental health has taken a beating.
His plan to hold those companies responsible.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9 starts right now.
Utah has been debating school choice for decades. Tonight, House Bill 215 for school choice and teacher salary has made it to the Senate floor. It was approved by a Senate committee this afternoon on a vote of 7-2. Good evening, everyone. I'm Bob Evans.
And I'm Kelly Chapman. The bill would give scholarship money to families who qualify and choose to take their children out of the public school. Now, this bill also includes an additional $6,000 per year for teachers.
Fox 13 News reporter Darian DeBrule was at the Capitol during the committee meeting and a rally against the bill.
Emotions were high at the Capitol Monday as public comment for and against school choice was presented to a Senate committee.
Some of these children are slipping through the cracks or being passed over, and it shows by statistics.
If it becomes law, HB 215 will become a perpetual political football.
At a rally following the bill's passage, many opposing the bill said it is a voucher labeled as a scholarship and are worried about funding. But the bill sponsors say this won't necessarily take away from the public education budget.
When you start siphoning off public education funding and giving it to private schools, our schools are going to take an impact because we've never had a fully funded public education system in Utah.
There's still going to be efforts to increase the public education budget, but I think this properly demonstrates the legislature's intent and motive to continue to fund public education and support that. Support the process, and of course support teachers.
Those who oppose the bill believe the public school system isn't broken, just underfunded.
If we had enough funding to hire enough teachers to have a manageable size class, and we had all of the resources necessary, we would be able to meet the needs of our kids.
But bill advocates say education is not one size fits all.
Many children are educationally supported with the current systems, but not all. The status quo does not fit every student. I understand creating a new category of student can be tricky, and I'm grateful for those who are willing to roll up their sleeves and work to make it happen.
While they may not agree on how, both sides agree teachers should get more compensation.
We would obviously hope that people in the state of Utah would support a teacher's salary increase.
As for what's next for HB 215, it will now move to the Senate floor for debate. At the Capitol, I'm Darian DeBrule, Fox 13 News, Utah.
A pause in the chaos. That's how a West Jordan family is describing the relief after a judge sentenced a man to prison for the death of their 13-year-old son.
Fox 13 News reporter Emily Tenser was at the courthouse today and spoke to the boy's family, who don't think they'll ever recover.
There was not a dry eye in that courtroom as Eli's parents and 16-year-old sister spoke to the judge begging for justice. The family also heard an apology for the first time from the man who killed their son.
Eli bounded up the stairs saying, "Okay, well, I'm out of here." That was the last time I saw him.
It's been 9 months since 13-year-old Eli Mitchell rode his bike to buy a snack and was hit and dragged by a drunk driver on his way home.
My only son and best friend was tragically taken from me due to many poor decisions and criminal actions due to Mason Ohms.
50-year-old Mason Ohms pled guilty to criminal homicide and leaving the scene. Witnesses saw him remove Eli's bike from underneath his truck and drive away.
He had no soul at that moment.
He simply stared down at the helpless body in the street and let blank-lit strangers trying to help Eli.
State prosecutors say Ohms has had multiple DUI convictions in the past, and that at the time he hit Eli, his blood alcohol content level was 4 times over the legal limit.
I never intended for any of this to happen. I'm devastated by what has happened. I sincerely apologize.
I want to acknowledge to the victim's family.
The judge sentenced Ohms up to 15 years in prison for homicide and an additional 0 to 5 years for driving away. Now, Eli's family plans to leave behind the stress of the court process and focus their energy on healing.
People talk about forgiveness and stuff, and I want to get there, but I feel like it's okay for me to take time because my best friend's dead.
When I get super sad, which is often, I try to think, would Eli want me to be super sad? And he would not want me to be super sad. He would want me to find joy.
The Mitchell family is also working with State Representative Ken Ivory from District 39 on House Bill 247, which the family describes as a preventative alcohol control bill that would hold more bars accountable for over-serving and letting drunk customers get behind the wheel instead of taking a safe ride home. Reporting outside the county courthouse, Emily Tenser, Fox 13 News, Utah.
A 7-year-old West Jordan girl now back home with her family tonight after being taken from her grandfather's home this morning. West Jordan police say they received a call around 10:40 that the grandfather's girlfriend, 56-year-old Bernice Quintana, left the home with the child without permission. At about 2 o'clock, police deemed this incident rose to the level of an Amber Alert being issued.
Shortly after the Amber Alert was sent, we got information from South Salt Lake saying that the vehicle and the 2 parties were at their police department.
Police say Quintana has been arrested and could face possible kidnapping charges. As for the victim, she was reunited with her family and does not appear to have any injuries.
Salt Lake County Mayor Jenny Wilson calls the county one of the best in the country in which to live, work, and raise a family. She delivered her annual State of the County address tonight. Mayor Wilson touted the county's diverse businesses as well as its higher education facilities. She reminded everyone that the NBA All-Star Game is coming next month. She said that when Cleveland hosted it last year, it generated almost $250 million in one weekend.
And here in Salt Lake, thousands of people are coming in early. They're going to ski, they're going to hang out, they're going to enjoy, they're going to experience the greatest snow on Earth. And this year we're delivering. Clearly, we are the greatest snow on Earth at this particular time. So exciting. So we're going to crush Cleveland's total revenue.
The mayor pointed out the county's low unemployment rate and the fact that it is one of only 40 counties nationwide with a AAA bond rating.
From now on, Intermountain Healthcare will be known as Intermountain Health. The name change was based on feedback by consumers, patients, and employees and their needs and expectations of a health system. Intermountain Health's mission of helping people live the healthiest lives possible remains the same. The name change is effective immediately, but the updated look will not be phased in, or I should say rather, it will be phased in over the next several years to come.
Take a look at this video of an avalanche that partially blocked State Road 92 in American Fork Canyon today. The avalanche came down a little before 2 this afternoon at mile marker 11, which is near the Timpanogos Cave Visitors Center and Trailhead. The Utah Highway Patrol says by the time troopers arrived, the slide had already been cleared by volunteers. No injuries were reported.
Look, you see a snow shovel there on the snowbank still.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, 1 lane cleared so people can get through.
Yeah,
like
it was completely clearing the road, covering the road. And then the people got out. I saw the pictures and videos. There was probably about 10 people digging out, and then a plow arrived and helped clear 1 lane so people could alternate down and up. I'm so glad that everybody was okay in that. We do have the chance for a little bit more snow tonight. Not a ton of accumulation expected, but maybe enough to create a slick drive for you over the next couple of hours here across northern Utah, but pretty scattered in nature. 29 currently in Salt Lake, 26 for Ogden, 26 currently in Provo, as we are tracking a few snow showers in Tooele County, Box Elder, and up across far northern Utah. I've been looking at the different web cameras, though, from UDOT, and it looks like the drives are generally good right now. We look at the Wasatch Front forecast over the next couple of hours. We'll keep that chance for some flurries till about midnight, and then we'll be close to about 15 to 20 degrees when you wake up tomorrow. A little breezy at times tomorrow, a mainly dry week. We've got some weak disturbances in the forecast, so we could see some isolated to widely scattered snow at times. More on that coming up.
The Heber City Police Chief and his team wrote this thank you letter to the sheriff for clearing him in a use of force investigation.
It still has continued to not die.
But is it enough to change the governor's mind? And is it accurate? We'll investigate after the break.
Social media companies know about the consequences their platforms and algorithms are having on mental well-being, and still they do nothing.
Governor Cox plans to take on social media to protect Utah's youth. The lawsuit now in the works.
A Utah filmmaker is making a splash at Sundance. How his powerful story is shining a light on an often overlooked reality.
The Jazz take on the Charlotte Hornets tonight. Will they get the win and improve their record to 500? I'll have the highlights coming up.
Sheriff Rigby doesn't have the ability, the value to bully or intimidate anybody. That is not his nature.
Heber City is coming to Wasatch County Sheriff Jared Rigby's defense, but some police officers are not.
He has threatened our whole department.
They say they're trying to expose what is really going on in Wasatch County as the sheriff continues fighting for a powerful state job.
It really comes down to the future, your future in the police department.
Tonight, Fox 13 News investigative reporter Adam Herbetz has been fact-checking to see whether Heber City is being honest in Rigby's defense.
This is the determination. You're going to have to wrap your mind around it, and then from here on out, move in that direction, at least if you're going to work for Heber.
The discovery of this video is what stopped Sheriff Jared Rigby from being sworn in to a role that would supervise the investigation of every officer in Utah. In 2021, Heber City asked him to investigate their chief of police, Dave Booth, who was reported by his own officers for grabbing a handcuffed suspect by the throat.
We've been taught specifically to not grab people by the throat.
I disagree. You've been taught to not do a chokehold.
Now, Rigby is accused of bullying and intimidating the officer who reported his chief, a culture that some police say is hard to get away from in Wasatch County.
What you're saying is not changing my perspective of what I saw. Nothing's going to change that. That's why we're here, right?
And okay, that's your decision. You just won't get any trusted positions.
We have an obligation to police ourselves. Nobody's above the law.
This man is a veteran officer who left the department, but still fears retaliation. We interviewed him in 2021, and even then, he said he knew Rigby would do what he could to clear the Heber City police chief.
This is done by his friend, Jared Rigby, the sheriff. They're friends. They hang out together. They're buddies.
Last week, Chief Booth and his team wrote this public thank you letter, saying the way he was cleared was thoroughly and professionally conducted.
How can you say you did a full, thorough investigation when your friend did your investigation?
He calls it circling the wagons, especially because a review of Rigby's report shows he never interviewed any witnesses until after clearing the chief.
Did you interview Chief Booth as part of your investigation?
Adam.
I didn't see it in your report, so does that mean you did not interview him?
I did interview him, and I'm not able to speak to him.
Why wasn't it in your report then?
It is.
We are still waiting to see the documentation of that interview, if it exists. We've asked repeatedly, but the chief declines to answer whether Rigby interviewed him. You were under investigation for putting your hand on someone's throat. I just want to know what happened.
Which never happened.
And we have the video, sir. A spokesperson for the chief said he's the one who called Rigby's investigation thoroughly and professionally conducted. But he now admits he never actually looked at the investigation. He's a former captain with Park City PD. During a phone call on Monday, we asked him if he would have ever cleared someone, without conducting any interviews. He said, "I see your point." I see your point, but still not an answer to that question. By the way, one more thing to fact check from last week. A Heber City Council member said it was his impression that the sheriff wasn't ever even supposed to investigate the chief. When we showed him the documentation, confronted him with Rigby's report, he said, "Oh, never mind. I don't know. I don't remember."
So why did Heber City investigate the sheriff in the first place?
The sheriff.
I mean, the sheriff. Yeah. Why did they ask the sheriff to investigate this case in the first place?
So they say that they asked multiple agencies to investigate the chief, and that Sheriff Jared Rigby was the only one available to do that investigation. When we asked, what are the other several outside agencies that were contacted, we were told the city does not want to release their names to you.
We'll keep working on those answers, Adam. Thanks so much. Adam Herbet's live in studio with us tonight.
Thanks, Kelly.
Well, over in the weather department tonight, what we're tracking for you, some very cold temperatures. It currently feels like it's 22 here in Salt Lake City, but our actual temp is 29 degrees. Happy to report full visibility. We do have the chance for some flurries to come down tonight across northern Utah. Very minimal as far as how much accumulation we would see, but we still could see some slick roads. So keep that in mind if you come across any of those areas with light snow on the roads tonight. Temperatures right now, 26 in Provo, 26 for Ogden, 19 for the Cache Valley. Wow, over in Vernal, 2 degrees currently for the Cache Valley, 20 for Price. Before everything is said and done tonight, it's going to feel like it's right around 0 for Vernal, for Price, and actually for much of the valleys across central and southern Utah, it's going to get to be in single digits or below 0 for many of you for what it feels like. Wind will be dying down throughout the night. Come tomorrow at about lunchtime, we're going to start that wind ramping up again, mainly across southern and central Utah. And then as we get into tomorrow's second half of the day by 5 p.m., Wasatch back, eastern central Utah, plus as we look up towards the Uintas, that's where we're going to see some areas of very gusty conditions. As I mentioned, we do have a little bit of light snow, some flurry activity coming down on radar across northern Utah. Really not seeing a ton of this on any cameras, but as I mentioned, we've got the chance for some areas of light snow to come down, and so we very well could see some slick areas this evening. But that chance is going to start dying down once we get to around midnight. We're going to have our temperatures into the teens after midnight, and then we're going to have our precipitation chances over the next 24 hours for Salt Lake, widely scattered at 11 p.m. That's this red line right here, and then into the overnight hours, it's much more unlikely. For Provo, you're the blue line. Looks like by about 1 a.m., you're isolated to maybe widely scattered for some areas of light snow, but generally, we're looking at single digits for Park City and Vernal tomorrow morning, single digits for Evanston. And with a little bit of wind, it's actually going to feel like it's below 0 for many locations that are seeing those single digits tonight. So for Cedar City, 12 degrees tomorrow morning, but it could feel closer to about 5 degrees or 0. And for St. George, you're below freezing tomorrow morning. For the Wasatch Front tomorrow, teens early in the day into the 20s, the high of about 30 for Salt Lake, mostly cloudy and cool. Below average for Park City, low 20s, Moab 37, 45 degrees in St. George tomorrow, so it's going to be a cold day. Also a little breezy at times as we just went over that future wind. The type of wind that we're talking about tomorrow is about 20 to 30 miles per hour for Price, for Bryce Canyon, Beaver, Milford, Cedar City, and down towards Zion National Park and Evanston. So our storm's going to continue off to our southeast that we just saw for us here in Utah, but we've got still some weak disturbances in the forecast. St. George in the 40s the next few days, 50s this weekend, some more chances for rain and snow early next week. We'll go over that in just a little bit, but for the Wasatch Front, 29 degrees Tuesday, Wednesday, close to 30 on Friday. Then we'll see some more chances for snow Friday, late in the weekend into early next week.
Allison, thanks so much. Straight ahead, hear from the man in this video who bravely stopped the mass shooting suspect in California over the weekend. His message to the world tonight when we come back.
So I want everyone to focus on the victims of this tragic incident, not to draw too much attention to myself.
That is Brandon Say, the man who is being called a hero for stopping the suspect in that mass shooting in California over the weekend. He wrestled a gun from the gunman's hands before he could kill more people. Meantime, authorities in California have confirmed that an 11th person has died in the aftermath of Saturday's mass shooting.
This happened in the Monterey Park near Los Angeles, California, during a Lunar New Year's Eve celebration at a dance hall. 3 people are still in the hospital tonight. The gunman was a 72-year-old man who took his own life after a standoff with police yesterday.
Year of the rabbit, a year of hope and peace, and to have this peace shattered a few hours later was just very, very devastating.
A vigil for the victims is scheduled for tomorrow night. All of them were over the age of 50.
4 additional members of the Oath Keepers, a far-right militia group, were convicted of seditious conspiracy in federal court today. The men who range in age from 38 to 64 are among about a dozen who face the conspiracy charge in connection with the January 6th riots at the U.S. Capitol. At trial, prosecutors said the men considered shooting officers during the attack. The men's defense attorneys argued the events of January 6th were more like a soccer stampede than a coordinated assault.
The FDA says it wants your COVID booster to feel more like a flu shot. In documents released today, the agency said it wants to assess the COVID situation in early summer, then prepare the best possible vaccine for the fall, creating an annual shot to boost immunity for most people. Now, this plan is not yet final. FDA leaders will continue working on a framework at a meeting later this week.
The state of Utah is threatening a lawsuit against social media companies. I'll explain why.
Ukrainian refugees now here in Utah, the group that's helping them, and how you can get involved too.
Us as humans, we are more alike than we are different.
How one Utah filmmaker brought his family's story all the way to Sundance.
Jazz battled the Hornets tonight. We'll hear from Will Hardy after tonight's game.
Utah's most remote high school is also one of its smallest, but this year they put together a basketball team, and they are putting everything they have into it. Can't wait to introduce you to the Navajo Mountain Jaguars.
The state of Utah will be suing social media companies to protect our kids.
There was a big announcement today from Governor Spencer Cox and State Attorney General Sean Reyes.
The governor put social media platforms on notice that they will be facing a lawsuit.
Fox 13 News political reporter Ben Winslow has the story from Utah's Capitol Hill.
The governor says the state will be suing social media companies for the harm they're causing teens, and the legislature is also planning bills to crack down.
Our mental health has taken a beating.
Governor Spencer Cox says social media is negatively affecting Utah teens by distracting them, disrupting sleep, exposing them to bullying and nasty rumors, giving them unrealistic views of things, and creating peer pressure.
Social media companies know about the consequences their platforms and algorithms are having on mental well-being, and still they do nothing.
So he and Utah Attorney General Sean Reyes announced plans for a lawsuit, but they wouldn't say against who.
Against everyone.
TikTok, Instagram, Facebook.
We're not naming names right now, but we're putting everyone on notice.
We're investigating a number of social media and technology companies. We're not naming specific companies today.
How long have you been investigating them?
For a significant amount of time. There have been national investigations and there have been local investigations.
For what?
We're exploring any and all claims at this time, Ben.
The governor and attorney general likened social media abuse to opioids or tobacco, which the state has sued over.
The negative aspects of social media are an existential threat to our youth.
But the attorney general's office won't be the ones pursuing the case. They'll hire outside lawyers.
We have lawyers in our office who are more than skilled enough, but they are so overworked and underpaid that they're balancing giant portfolios of cases, and we really need the help.
The legislature is running a series of bills cracking down on social media.
Parents need tools to help monitor their kids on social media, and that's what we're trying to do with the legislation I have.
Bills include age verification requirements, algorithm targeting restrictions, and even cell phone and smartwatch restrictions in schools.
I appreciate the governor using all the tools at our discretion to be able to solve this problem.
Social media companies Fox 13 News has contacted have so far not responded to requests for comment.
We've talked with a number of different social media companies. Obviously, they're very interested in knowing what our plans are in the state of Utah. And I would say generally they're open to try to find solutions and to present to us those things that they've been working on. The problem is they're just not working fast enough.
Now those bills on social media use are being rolled out here in the legislative session. That lawsuit to be determined. On the Hill, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
A coalition of advocacy groups on Utah's Capitol Hill is calling for bigger spending on social needs instead of a tax cut.
They do say Utah has more than $5 billion in unmet needs, from affordable housing, the Great Salt Lake, and health care. They say instead of cutting taxes, they want to spend more money on those things.
Currently, we have one of the highest rates of uninsured kids in the whole country, and even with a public health emergency, we have only seen a slight stabilization of kids' coverage, and so we know that we still have a lot of work to do when it comes to ensuring that all kids have the health care.
Senate Republican leaders say they are not opposed to discussing those issues, but they are still pursuing tax cuts.
A bill to change the Utah state flag got preliminary approval from the state Senate today. Riverton Senator Dan McKay's bill has started to face some pushback from some who claim the state is canceling the current flag. He says it'll become a ceremonial flag, the current flag will, while the new design will become the official state flag.
What I feel is lost somewhat in this debate is that one is better than the other, or that one is different, or one is just, you know, we're going to ball the other one up and throw it on a dusty shelf and never be used again. And that just isn't the case. In fact, my intent is, in a lot of ways, the ceremonial flag will have added meaning.
The bill passed 18 to 9. It has another procedural vote in the Senate. If it passes there, the bill will go to the House.
Well, coming up, some of Utah's newest residents are getting a very warm welcome. See the help these refugees are receiving to get them on their feet.
And coming up, it is cold out there right now. Feels like it's 5 below currently in Manti, 8 below for Vernal for what it feels like. For Salt Lake right now, 22 degrees. What to expect throughout the overnight hours, where we could see some flurries this evening. Plus, how long will we stay frigid? Your forecast is coming up.
Three Ukrainian women, refugees fleeing dangerous conditions in their homeland, are now here in Utah, thanks to a group of volunteers.
It was a big trip, but they made it. Fox 13 News anchor Amy Nay introduced us to them just last week and now has an exciting update on their story.
An exciting moment, months in the making. As the group Team Sonia Schneek, a sanctioned neighborhood support team out of Holiday, welcomes Ukrainian refugees Hannah, her 8-year-old daughter Margarita, and her friend Mariana to Utah.
Oh, it was amazing. We had been anticipating their arrival, and we thought maybe they'd come later in the month, but when the air raids started to become more frequent, we were so concerned for their safety.
Volunteer Jamela Jameson, whose real job is working with grad students at the University of Utah, but drawn to this cause as a daughter of immigrant parents, speaking to me Monday in Murray on the arrival of the 3 women from half a world away who so many here have now come to know and love.
It was almost surreal to meet them at the airport on Saturday, because we've been texting or, working through WhatsApp and pictures, and it was just amazing. We loved them before they came, and we love them even more now that they're here.
Welcomed by their host family, where they're staying as they get their apartment ready. Dozens of volunteers offering help in so many different ways.
One of the things I love about Welcome NST is that it's community-based. It's a group of people that surround our newcomers and provide support from them.
Hannah, Margarita, and Mariana all here in Utah now, trying to settle in and get on their feet with the help of this group, all a part of Welcome NST. It's something that you can join in and help with too, or start your own group.
If you want to help, just jump in. Don't be nervous or afraid.
WelcomeNST.org is where you can find out how to start your own neighborhood support team and be matched with a refugee. The group recently recognized by the White House in their refugee resettlement efforts.
All these tiny little miracles along the way that have all come together, and there's just lots of goodness in the world, and I think you just tap into it and it just begins to happen.
In Salt Lake, Amy Nay, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Still ahead, a Utah filmmaker is getting the red carpet treatment at Sundance. We'll take a look at the newest movie from the Beehive State.
Utah basketball player Brandon Carlson being honored for his efforts last week for the Utah Running Utes. And the Jazz in action tonight at home against the Hornets. Could they pull off a win? Their 50th game of the season. Highlights are on the way.
I tell you, we are so glad you could join us for Fox 13 News at 9. Aren't we glad, Cal?
You're in the right place, hopefully inside nice and warm because it is cold tonight.
Feels like 22 degrees out there right now.
Dangerously cold.
Yeah.
Utah's Weather Authority Allison Krogan will be here in just a few minutes with your full forecast.
Well, Salt Lake City's report card for 2022 is out, and Mayor Erin Mendenhall gives the city an A.
Yes, her city deserves an A. That's what she says. And while the mayor also says that it's sad to see the ballpark go to South Jordan's Daybreak community, she does believe redeveloping the 13.5-acre site is a tremendous opportunity. As always, she says her goals are making growth good for residents, taking environmental responsibility, and building equity in everything she does.
Some of the highlights of what we did accomplish are Free Fair February last February. We're looking forward to the 10 free days this February for All-Star Game, of course. We finished our citywide equity master plan recently, and we'll be releasing the details of that soon. We also pushed forward on Great Salt Lake advocacy.
The mayor says she will announce some bold and aggressive new ways to get more water into the Great Salt Lake in her State of the City address happening tomorrow. As we've been reporting, the Sundance Film Festival, it is now underway, and one of the short films competing was produced here in the Beehive State.
Fox 13 News reporter Maithili Gubi was at the film's premiere in Park City today and spoke to the director who based the film on a personal story.
I Have No Tears and I Must Cry is a short film being screened and competing at the Sundance Film Festival in Park City this year.
We're really excited to represent Utah filmmaking and show that there is a strong filmmaking industry here.
Created by Utah filmmakers and filmed in Orem.
It feels like a lot of full circle moments.
Luis Fernando Puente is from Mexico and now lives in Utah. This movie is based on his wife's story, navigating the immigration system.
This film is about a green card interview.
Luis says he wants to tell this story because it's a side of the system that is often overlooked.
I don't see really being portrayed. I don't really see like people filling out like these forms. No one ever tells you what that's like until you're doing it and you think, oh, this is surprising.
He teamed up with a producer friend he went to school with at BYU a few years ago.
I just love being able to tell an awesome story with friends, and that's one of the great things that I love about working with Luis.
The film premiered Monday morning, and now they get to bring this 13-minute short film to people all over.
Sense of satisfaction, the validity as a director, as a filmmaker in making it and showing it to people and having this feedback, and especially here at Sundance having that credential now, that laurel is big for me.
I Have No Tears and I Must Cry, along with other short films in this series, has another screening in Park City on Wednesday and 2 screenings in Salt Lake on Friday and Saturday.
And so we hope that people who've watched this film come away understanding what it's like to live a different life, to be uncertain about your future, and we hope that they feel more compassion towards people who go through the immigration process.
Using his story to make others feel seen.
Us as humans, we are more alike than we are different in a lot of aspects, and I think tapping into that is what makes storytelling and filmmaking and specifically very powerful.
The results from the short film competition will be out on Friday. Luis and Rollins say they hope to create a full feature film from this concept and continue to share the immigrant story with audiences all over. At the Sundance Film Festival in Park City, I am Maithili Gubbi, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Utah's most remote high school is on a portion of the Navajo Nation most accessible through Arizona.
In fact, it is so small they can't always field a basketball team. In fact, they haven't had a team since 2017. So it's been a while, but that's changed for this year. Fox 13 News anchor Max Roth has this introduction to the Navajo Mountain Jaguars.
A whole lot of high school courses have more students than all of Navajo Mountain High School. So in order to have a basketball team, they don't hold tryouts. They work to convince enough students to try it out. That's Eric Neely.
I've been playing basketball ever since 3rd grade.
Eric, our freshman point guard here, has really been the driving force between making this team happen.
So the Navajo Mountain Jaguars junior varsity team can build around their freshman point guard. And good thing, because there aren't a lot of options. How many students are at Navajo Mountain?
We're right at 30 students.
15 boys in the whole high school. This squad is more than half of the male student population.
Because some of us are actually new to basketball.
Junior Paul Begay had not played the game before. Now he's the starting center.
Hardest thing is probably the cardio, the workout, because we get pushed every day, and I like it.
Everything this team is doing is new on so many levels. Chelsea Gray Mountain is head coach and the school's athletic director. It's her first year in that role, and she scrambled to get a season in place.
I started looking for games in November, and all the other schools already set out their schedule.
But the schools respected the team that Gray Mountain assembled and found time for extra games. Gray Mountain played in high school and coached the last team in 2017. Her assistant, Tony Anderson, brings his language arts credentials and willingness to learn.
I played church ball when I was a kid, and not well either.
You're watching their first home game. They haven't won yet, but they're keeping their heads up.
Good, getting better each game.
And they have fan support, which is saying something because the closest competitors in their region are a zigzag drive through the high desert for an hour and 40 minutes. When they play Pinnacle Academy in Price, it'll be over 6 hours in the bus, 375 miles on the odometer. Who's your biggest fan, Paul?
My grandma and grandpa.
Will probably be my auntie.
Are they traveling to your games?
Yeah, they've been to like all my games recently, yeah.
Is she traveling to the games and watching you play?
Yes.
They embarrass you? Do they cheer and stuff?
Yes.
Navajo Mountain High School's season ends on Valentine's Day. Now, they are a JV team, and they're playing JV teams from other schools. But with a season under their belt, they hope to keep growing, getting better, and surprising some folks. In studio, Max Roth, Fox 13 News, Utah.
All right, well, now I have a new basketball team that I am rooting for. Wow, what a fun story there. And our temperatures are definitely going to keep us in those indoor activities, all those gym sports over the next several days and probably weeks. We've got temperatures right now feeling like 22 in Salt Lake, feels like it's 5 below for Manti. Down towards Lake Powell, feels like it's 31 degrees right now, feels like it's 4 below, 0 for Bryce Canyon, 3 degrees in Cedar, St. George, 29 right now. So it is cold out across the state, 8 below for Vernal's feels like temp. For the Cache Valley near 10, same thing for Evanston. For the Old Mill camera live look right now, nice twinkling lights off in the distance as we face towards the east. We've got temperatures that are going to be cold throughout the night. So let's go ahead and fast forward this and take you through 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. It'll be about 5 to 15 degrees for much of the state for the feels like temperature, and that's the temp that you need to dress for tomorrow morning. Grab your warmest jacket. You'll want to keep that with you throughout the day tomorrow. And we're going to see our temperatures hardly warming up. As you can see at 3 o'clock tomorrow, it's still going to feel like it's about 20 to 25 degrees for Salt Lake, for Provo, for Tooele, for Layton, for Ogden, for the Cache Valley, about 10 for Park City. Alta, just 3 degrees for what it feels like at 3 p.m. tomorrow. So it's going to be another very cold day. Our storm is off to our southeast. We are starting to see a little bit of light snow as expected, making its way along the Wasatch Front. Cameras so far have not looked impressive in the amount of snowfall coming down, but keep in mind with how cold that it currently is, even some light flurries could be enough to create just some slick roads. Just take it slow if you come across any areas of some light snow tonight. For Ogden, your chance of precipitation on Tuesday night will be scattered. By Friday night, we are again scattered to widespread, and then we're going to keep some more active weather in the pattern as we head into this weekend and early next week. For Utah County, your chance of precipitation Tuesday night, scattered. By Friday night, you're looking at scattered chances for snow, and then by Sunday night and Monday, some more scattered chances. For St. George, you're dry through the next couple of days. And then by the later part of the weekend into early next week, some more widely scattered chances are possible. So snow that we could see tonight, we're talking about an inch or less for most locations across northern Utah. For St. George, 45 tomorrow, 49 on Wednesday. We'll keep you close to 50 degrees throughout much of your 7-day forecast. More chances for rain and snow next week. For Salt Lake, 29 tomorrow, moderate air quality into the 30s by Thursday and Friday.
The Utah Jazz played game number 50 of the season tonight, hoping to even the record at 25 apiece with a win over the Charlotte Hornets, the team with the 3rd worst record in the NBA. That means another return for Gordon Hayward, the former Jazz man with the jumper, to some booze, finished with 11 points. The Jazz shared the basketball, 25 assists. Lauri Markkanen drives and scores. He led the Jazz with 25 points. Talon Horton-Tucker finds Malik Beasley in the corner. 3 is good. Jazz made 16 of their 43s. That's 40%. Here's another one. Colin Sexton directs traffic and Markkanen listens. That led to a 3. Jazz are up by 9. Then on defense, Jazz get the steal ahead to Sexton. He lays it in, plus the foul. He finished with 11 points. The Jazz led it by 13 at the half. Jazz kept it rolling in the second half. Jordan Clarkson working his shot, gets the bucket. He had 18 points. Scary moment, though, for rookie Ochai Agbaji. Lands hard after that dunk attempt. He left the game, but the good news is he did return. THT did not have any trouble on this hammer. Drives and throws it down. The Jazz led it by as many as 27 points. The fourth quarter, Mike Conley, 3 of his 14 points. Nicely done there. Then he gets the assist to Walker Kessler. He had 13 points. The Jazz won it 120-102. Jazz now at 500 at 25 and 25.
Overall, just a good, solid team win. I think that's 4 quarters of good defense for the most part. The third quarter, I thought they played with a lot of pace and got away from us a little bit. But for the most part, I think our team really executed on the defensive end tonight, did a good job of switching and disrupting their offense a little bit, which was huge for us.
Utah's Braden Carlson named the Pac-12 Player of the Week after leading the Utes to a sweep of the Washington teams. The former Bingham High School star scored a career-high 28 points against Washington State. Then he scored 25 points against Washington, become the first Utah player to score 25-plus points in consecutive games since Andrew Bogut 18 seasons ago. Former BYU star Fred Warner made some big plays for the 49ers against the Cowboys yesterday. 9 tackles and an interception to lead the 49ers to the NFC Championship game against the Eagles.
It was 2 great football teams playing against each other in a big-time game at home that we had to win, and we found a way. For the most part, it felt like us, man, and obviously we know that we got to play big-time football in the playoffs and have a chance to win this next game.
Should be a good game. You can watch the Niners and Eagles play 1 o'clock right here on Fox 13 on Sunday. The winner goes to the Super Bowl.
Ooh, I'm excited.
Yeah, which is also on Fox 13.
It is also on Fox 13 in, I guess, 3 weeks now.
So after this weekend, both teams will be set. It'll be in place.
After Sunday, we'll know the 2 teams in the Super Bowl. So start.
Here we go.
I was going to say I went to the grocery store today, and they were having a sale on chips.
Yeah,
And I stocked up knowing what was to come.
Yeah, I don't know.
Here
Thanks,
we
Jeff.
go. We'll be right back. Park City Police need your help finding this bear that really loves coffee. It was in Park City. If you see this bear, we don't know exactly where it was stolen from, but if you see this bear, which is about 4 feet tall, 3 or 4 feet tall, 60 pounds, please call
Okay, this is
Park
a
City
statue?
Police. Yes, this is not an actual bear.
Okay, a statue. Do we know
If
where the
this had
statue
been-
was?
And no, we don't know where the statue was.
They've got a couple of these bronze sculptures, though, right near Main Street.
Yeah. Okay.
So I would imagine it's in the historic part of town.
Okay, so there you go. If you see this bear, either return him or call police.
Yeah.
They want the bear back.
Probably heavy. Probably good.
Yeah, probably. It's 80 pounds. What is it, 60 pounds?
Okay.
Thanks, everyone, for being with us.
Quick Cast up next.